All right, everybody, welcome. We'll go ahead and we'll move into some questions.
This is going to be a great week. Just glad to be back at home. You know, we had a tough little stretch, 4 games in 9 days, and on the road at UCLA, Stanford. But I think it showed us kind of where we're at right now. But just happy to be home against the Oregon. I think it's going to be a fun weekend.
PJ, and then Alec, and then Kim.
Okay, so I have kind of a two-parter and then a follow-up.
Okay.
So I'm trying to make it easy for you. So it's the midpoint of the season. Where are you right now? And is it where you thought compared to where you thought you'd be at this point?
I didn't really know what to expect, with this team, just because we were so different from last year. So didn't really know where we'd be. With the month hiatus because of COVID, I think it kind of put us back a little bit. But when I look at where we were last year at this time, we are better. Defensively, offensively, much better. But we still have a lot of work. My plan and just what I'm working on is we will improve a lot defensively by March. And definitely by the middle of March, hopefully by the Pac-12 tournament. So that's a month to get better. There are some areas that I don't think that we're great in right now. So a lot of room for improvement. Cutting you off, you did.
About my follow-up, but I do have another one. What specifically are things that what will this team look like in March?
Just a lot. So the little things, like at this time last year, we were rotating, like we couldn't get our second and third rotation. In the tournament, we were rotating 2-3 times, just high-level rotations defensively, just a little bit more on point. We have a lot of new people learning a new system. So we will look a lot better defensively. In my opinion, we're not great defensively right now, just as far as just aggressiveness and in sync as a group, like helping the helper or multiple rotations, which are really important as you play better teams. So we'll be better. We'll be a little bit better inside at guarding. We'll have a little bit more ball pressure, and we'll just be more in attack mode. And some of that's trust, confidence, all those things. But I feel like we're not attacking defensively like we can. But we're going to work on that, so we'll be better in the next month. But it takes time.
All right, now
How do you prevent the emotions from the previous Oregon game not affect this game?
There aren't really emotions. It was a game that we felt like we didn't handle down the stretch, and a game that Oregon played really well, and they beat us. But at home it's a lot easier. We're going to have a lot of fans. That's your sixth man. You have just more momentum at home and confidence. So I don't think it's a game where there's super high emotions. I think it's just a game that we know we need to win against Oregon or any other team in McHale. So I don't think it's any higher or lower than any other game.
Do you believe in moral victories? Just kind of going back to Stanford, do you put any stake in, even though it was a loss, that there were more positives maybe?
No, I think we're beyond that. So I think there are some positive things. I think we did some things really well, but there were some things we didn't do well that didn't enable us to win. So I think that the little things, like one example is like Jana played phenomenal for them, but we can't let someone off the bench come in and be 6 for 8 from the 3. So that is a team thing. That's a focus thing. And anybody, it could have been anybody off the bench or even a starter. If someone's hit a couple, as a team, we need to be aware of that they can't be lost. Just those little things that we're learning and can't happen. And it happened, in a couple games now. So that is something that we have to address. And just understanding that the margin of error is really small. Yes, you can get away with certain things against a team that's not as good. But if you want to beat number 2, Stanford, at Stanford, you have to play good basketball for 40 minutes. And we're not quite there yet. So we have to get better. But I don't ever take it like, oh, we lost, I'm still happy. I did 4 years ago because we weren't able to beat them. But I think now, we're able to beat anybody in the country. So the expectation is to win.
I have a couple of questions about free throws. Last homestand. Have I missed you guys doing the free throw line before games, or is that new? They were all lining up and taking free throws before the game.
Were we not doing that before?
That's what
Oh,
I
are we not doing that now?
They did.
They did.
But we always did that, though.
Did you? That's what I'm
Yeah, I
asking.
think always, because sometimes I'm not, unless they change the timing. No, we're doing that. We have to do it. But now our free throws are better, because for a while we were struggling from the free throw line. But a lot of that was Shayna. Shayna's now getting to the line and making her free throws. But yeah, so we do that. If we're not doing it, we need to do it because it's important.
And as far as free throws and getting to the line, you guys have always been in the lower half of D1, or at least for the last decade. What do you, I mean, not the refs, but you have to do?
So to get to the free throw line more, I think for us and just as a team, these are some areas we're working on, is be a little bit stronger inside guards and post. So going to the rim, we know we're going against big players. Against Stanford, Cameron Brink is tall and athletic, but not like shying away from the contact. So that's one thing we're working on consistently. As a post player is, going around them, also not fading away, shying from contact because you don't get the calls. More people getting to the rim. So if you look last year, Ari was primarily and Kate, and this year Shayna, but we have to have more people driving and being aggressive and getting to the rim to get to the free throw line. So those are things that we have to work on. Because Sam is shooting the ball more, but she doesn't attack the rim a lot. So when she does, it's good. So being able to do those things is important because that's free. That's free money at the free throw line, and then making them. So I think a couple of weeks ago we were at like 67%. Now I think we're 73, which is I think we can be 75 or 76. So like I said, Shayna gets to the line, so she's making her free throws, which has helped us a lot. And Kate she's like 85%. So just more people need to get to the line. That's just a reality.
In your first half of your years here, did you have much of a chance to recruit someone like Sabali or Pau Pau?
No. Our first couple of years, no, because we just weren't good enough at the time. I think those players, some of the best players in the country or the best players internationally, wanted to go to programs that were top 10. And so back then we did not have the opportunity because we weren't at this level yet. But now we do. And also if you look back 4 years ago, even 3 years ago, we probably wouldn't have gotten Maya. Maya or the other commitment that we got that I can't talk about, because these are McDonald's All-Americans and they want to win a championship. So now we're in that running. I think we're able to recruit at a different level and attract a different player because of just our success. So it's really important. I think that's important to sustain success, because you look at our class next year, those are good players. And then we add pieces. And then the following year, so for 23, we already have another top player. So it's important, and that's how you stay good.
You know what the ticket level is for Friday?
I think we're at like 8,500. They just opened the upper bowl, so they opened another 1,000 seats. So we're going for 12,000. We want 12,000 fans at least. I think a sellout's kind of hard right now with Omicron, but our fans are great at wearing their mask. I think I probably like 85% when you say, probably 95, except for when you're eating. I think we're really good at masks. So trying to get 12,000 people to the game for sure. These are big games for us, and we need to protect our house. Oregon, a good team, they're going to end up being a top 10 team, and Oregon State will end up being a top 25 team. So these two wins are just really important at this time of the season.
Yeah, so putting aside some of the stuff that happened, the drama from last game against Oregon, when do you think that this rivalry really started between Oregon and Arizona?
I don't think, we have so many of them, like ASU obviously is a rival, but I think as you get better, you kind of have them with more teams, right? So, Stanford probably has it with everybody. I think it's just you get better, and that's the way it is. I think that game was just really competitive. It was a really good game for women's basketball. So I don't look at it any different. I just look at it as like a big game against two talented teams. But I don't think it's like an extra big rival. I think, but it's normal. I think if you look at Arizona, UCLA, Oregon State, Oregon, we recruit a lot of the same players. So I think just that tends to be, in the Pac-12, it's more of a rival because you compete against a lot of the same players in recruiting. But I think it's just a game that, we want to win. And it's a team that is good. So I think you're going to kind of see those rivals with all of the top 5 teams.
Nothing against Kelly Griggs, but have you noticed the number of men's head coaches in Power 5 women's basketball decreasing?
In the Pac-12 this year, yes, but overall, no. Well, no, but I don't know statistically. I don't know the exact numbers, but maybe this year a few more women have been hired, but I mean, I would be shocked if you said we're a majority. Yeah, because I think, weren't we were like 51, we were a minority.
60 in basketball. Women's basketball is pretty much the only one that's majority, but barely.
Yeah, okay, so maybe, so, yeah, and because I think it wasn't a year ago, so maybe after this year, and now COVID, and, like a lot of women's groups, and just the year of the woman. But I think, I think there should be. But I think it's also one of those things, don't just hire someone because they're a woman. Hire someone because they're good. But I think there are a lot of good coaches, but I also think in women's basketball, I think there's a lot of things that hurt it. In my opinion, high school basketball should be consistent with college. So if there's a shot clock in college, to me, it should be universal. It should be the same three-point line, which is probably hard, but at least they're learning while they're young. It should be the same rules, same shot clock, so there isn't this big transition when they go to college. Because if you don't have a shot clock in college, it's hard to, then you start playing where you have to run quicker offense. I think it's not good for our game. And I think there needs to be more programs that mentor women to help them get into coaching. Because I think just overall, women don't bring a lot of other women along. And I think men do a better job of that, and that's the reality. So we do need more people in the game, more former WNBA players, just more women. But then when they get jobs, they need to do a good job and be successful. And that's the reality too. I need to do well. Donna and I came from the WNBA, and there's a handful of other coaches. So we need to be successful to pave the way for other women. And I think that's important in the game because, you don't just want all women just being assistants in this pigeonholed in this role. You want I would think you'd want your daughter to be mentored by someone who's been there, done that, and someone who has the work ethic, understanding. I think that's a value in women's basketball. But then you got to go work and get good and work like you did as a pro.
When you were being recruited, did any men's coaches recruit?
No, I think because I only had been an assistant coach for 5 years. So at the time, I honestly wasn't going to leave. People recruited me to try to get into television, but I wasn't going to leave Seattle at the time. But I've had a couple of phone calls like this year, and I'm like, no thanks. I mean, it's probably more of a joke, but my passion and love is for women's basketball. I'm not saying I would never think about it later, but I love the mentoring, I love the teaching, I love just so many things about our game, and I want to grow our game. And I want it to be great, and so my passion is with women for sure.
So a friend of yours is making a comeback, Lauren Jackson.
I saw that. I haven't talked to her yet.
What do you think about that? And, she had knee problems, you have some knee problems. Would you
Yes.
ever think about
No,
making a comeback?
not in a zillion years. I'm a couple years older than Lauren, but I looked at that, I was like, what? That's going to be hard. But she's so good. I feel like as a post player, it's a little bit easier because you're not out there chasing guards, and she's 6'5". But I was actually surprised. Someone must have talked her into it, and they need help. And I mean, she's just so good. So I'm curious to see how her transition is going to go. I bet you she's going to whip in the shape, and she'll still be good. I mean, she could probably play till she's 50 and be fine. She has a nice shot, so maybe she'll turn into more of a shooter. But I mean, at one point she was like 50% from the three at the height of her career. So she probably won't bang as much because she was physical. I don't know if at like 40 something you can be physical on side and stay healthy. But I'm proud of her. She's a competitor, so I'm curious to see how it's gonna go. But I actually need to talk to her and ask her about the reasoning for that. But not easy. Like when I look at Sue, I'm a couple years older than Sue, but I don't know how Sue, Diana, I don't know how they do what they do at the level like now. I really don't know. It can't be easy. So, I mean, they're in great shape and they're high-level athletes, but it's not easy. Just body-wise, it's just a lot of banging and wear and tear for so many years. Like half of us can't walk, and I can't even bend my knee totally right now after playing all these years, and I didn't have tons of injuries. So, yeah.
What's the danger of people making Oregon too big and looking past Oregon State? I mean, and what do you have to do against Oregon State?
The good thing is they both run a lot of pick and rolls, and they're in a lot of pick and roll situations. That's the challenge, I think, but that's a good test for our team. So the first test will be how do we respond after the Stanford loss, and we've typically responded well after losses. The second thing is you don't get too high, you don't get too low. So how do we manage that, and how are we going to deal with that? Because that's going to be what we have to do in a Pac-12 tournament and the NCAA tournament. So I think it's going to tell us a lot about our team and where we're at right now. But you can't get too high or too low. It's just another game. We don't put so much stake in this game. We're not treating this game like it's an NCAA tournament. It's just another game that we want to win at home. It's no bigger than the UCLA game at UCLA or Stanford at Stanford. But we're at home, so we have an advantage at home. So we want to win at home. But I don't think it's like viewed, because they're both really hard games and they're important games against good teams. So they would be good wins. But can we just go up and show up and win? No, we have to play a good game. And they're both really big. So if you look at both of their front lines, we're like 6'8", 6'8", 6'5". I mean, at one point in the game, they had like 6'8", 6'8", 6'5" in the game against us and packed it in the paint. So, we have to use our advantages, which is our quickness and full court press.
What was it like to be named the Grand Marshal of the Tucson Rodeo?
It's funny. I didn't think it was such a big deal. Like, I just thought I got more texts about that than probably some of our wins. It is like I have people from all over asking me, even from other places. I didn't realize it was such a thing. It's during the season, and so it was challenging kind of being a part of it because it's a big commitment. But I thought it's something really important to Tucson. It's really important to the community, and it's a staple here, and it's like the 97th year. So I was going to make it work, and the parade's actually on a game day. So I was like, oh. But I think it's going to be fun, and I think it's just something that represents Tucson, and it's an honor to get. So I wasn't going to not do it. I think I was surprised I was chosen. So now I got to buy some cowboy boots. I got a hat. The hat's cool. It's like a nice hat too, a Stetson hat. So now I'm gonna get some boots and be a real Tucsonian.
When you played in Europe, did you have any male head coaches?
I never had a female head coach, and that's typical in Europe. So if you look at Italy, I would be shocked if they had a Division I female head coach. Typically in Europe, I'm trying to think of my 13 years. In my 13 years, I think maybe I had one assistant female coach, and that was in Russia. And it was in Russia, the woman had played for that club, and she was like a staple of the club, but she didn't do a whole lot of coaching. And that was with Ekaterinburg. If I look in Italy, Turkey, Israel, there was no other team I had a female head coach. And one of the teams I had a female GM, but it was the coach's daughter. So it's very typical in Europe to not have a female on staff. It's very rare to have a female. And if there is a female head coach, she brought the team up from Division II. Or she brought them up from like 3 to 2 to 1, and she'll be there for like a year. She won't usually be there longer. So, yeah, in all my years there, and it's funny, I never thought about that. And even AAU when I was growing up, there wasn't really AAU like there is today. There are more AAU coaches now, and it's still probably less than half than there were years ago. So, like, if you look up anywhere in Europe, especially Eastern Europe, you will rarely have a female head coach. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? It's funny. I never thought about that till you asked. So, less opportunities there for sure.
Is Joan one of your biggest role models ever, mentors?
Yeah, Joan is, I just respect Joan. She's so knowledgeable. She's won so many games. And what I love about her is that she's honest, and she's been through everything that I'm going through at some point in her career. So whether it's losing or winning or, just different adversity and schematic things or tactical things, she's already been there. So her advice is just good advice. And she has no stake in it. Like, it's like she's not getting paid by anybody. Like, so for her, it's just a friendship and a mentorship, and she cares about me, so I know she's going to tell me the truth. And sometimes she tells me the truth, and it's something like, like it's honest. It's like good or bad. So I like that. I like when someone's honest with me. I think a lot of people aren't honest. So yeah, she's great.
More questions for Coach Barnes? Awesome, thank you, Coach.
Okay, thanks, you guys.
All right, cool guys. Well, Bendu Yeaney here with us, clearly. And so go ahead and get started with some questions. PJ, you want to get us kicked off?
Sure. What's sort of your mindset coming into Friday's game?
We're just trying to get a win, just bounce back from the Stanford loss and just focus on winning, not just only on Friday, but on Sunday too.
What's the difference between between these two teams? I mean, when you prepare, what are you thinking about Oregon versus what you think about Oregon State?
Well, with Oregon, they got really good post players and really good guards. So we got to defend inside and outside. With Oregon State, they're more of an outside shooting team, so we got to defend the more of the three-point line. So it's a little difficult because on Friday we're going to guard inside and out, and then on Sunday we're going to be guarding more of the three-point line. And they're more like Oregon State is more of a slow tempo type team, so we have to be able to try to push our tempo and things like that. And Oregon is the same with us. Like they like to push the tempo. They don't like a lot of half-court offense. So I think it's just going to be a tale of how we can play defense.
Do you guys as players view Oregon as a rival now? Just given the matchup history, not only this year, but in years past?
Yeah, I mean, they're a really good team. And they used to be at the top of the Pac-12. They won, I think, 3 Pac-12 championships. And so, yeah, they're a rival with us. Same thing with Stanford. Same with all the top teams in the Pac-12. You know, they're all rivals. Everybody here is a rival at this point in the season because everybody wants to beat us and we want to beat everybody. So I guess any team is a rival with us.
Did you hear that they're opening the upper deck for Friday's game and they have 20,000?
Yeah, no, Adia had told us that yesterday, and you know that's crazy. We just want to sell out and have more fans come and see how we play. And I think when people come and see how we play, they're going to be more sellouts. Home court advantage always helps you. Having the energy from the fans always helps. We go to different places and they have a lot of energy with their fans, and it's hard to play in there, and you can't really hear on the floor when you're playing in front of thousands and thousands of people. So it helps us a lot.
Did either Oregon or Oregon State recruit you?
Yeah. So I mean, my hometown schools did recruit me, but I didn't want to stay at home. That was my whole thing. I've been in Oregon my whole life. I wanted to get out and kind of explore and see the world, and I ended up here.
Any more questions for Bendu? All right, thank you, Bendu.
Thank you.
Everybody, and we'll